Extra, extra, read all about it. I come to you like a 1930s malnourished newsboy in a silly hat with breaking news about The Batman Part 2. Okay, well technically it's just a rumor, hence the rumor tag on the video, so please take this with a huge grain of salt, but I personally believe it enough that I've already spun an entire theory out of it, so you're just gonna have to walk with me here. Almost 2 weeks ago now, it was confirmed by Deadline that Scarlett Johansson was in talks to join the cast of The Batman Part 2. I still can't believe that's a real sentence I'm saying, and it has left me going crazy trying to figure out who she would be playing in this film. The only idea I've had was that she'd be playing Phantasm, and they'd be adapting the aptly titled animated film Mask of the Phantasm. But here's the thing. It seems like Matt Reeves is going in a different direction, as we just got our biggest clue yet to who she could be playing in this film. The one time I'm not able to make a video has actually benefited me, because apparently, according to Jeff Snyder, Scarlett Johansson will be playing Gilda Dent in The Batman Part 2. I have said my fair share about Snyder in the past, but the only reason I believe this is correct is because at least 3 different sources have coincidentally teased something involving the Dents this week. And the moment my eyes were blessed with this announcement, I was given a vision like a prophet of what this movie is going to be, and I think I might have finally figured it out. First of all, if you had given me a million guesses, I don't think I would have ever predicted Scarlett playing Gilda Dent of all characters. This is a character who has only ever had one comic arc that ever really made her feel important, and you're telling me she's gonna be played by the biggest actress in Hollywood right now? On paper, it feels like an overly eager fan cast, but this is Matt Reeves we're talking about. I could easily see him adding his own unique spin to this character to give her more depth and a lot to work with. I mean, look what he did with the Riddler. He made a lot of changes there, so who's to say he's not gonna do the same with Gilda Dent? What also leads me to believe that Scarlett might actually be playing Gilda in this film is a little nugget of information that Reeves himself dropped a while back. The only clue we have of who's going to be the villain in this movie is an official quote saying that the villain of Part 2 has never really been done before. So that basically rules out half of all Batman villains, and unless Scarlett Johansson is going to be playing a gender-bent condiment king, which, you know, come to think of it, would absolutely work, I feel like Gilda Dent absolutely fits the bill, especially because she is the villain named Holiday in the comics. To me, all of this can only point in one possible direction, and that's the Long Halloween. Now, you probably have 2 questions hearing that. Okay, maybe 3. First, what's the Long Halloween? This is a story that takes place during Batman's early day of crime fighting as he's trying to stop the mysterious holiday killer, whose whole thing is that they murder people on holidays. Really clever naming convention there, guys. In that book, Batman is in a race against time to try and catch the holiday killer before he claims his next victim each month, working alongside Jim Gordon and Harvey Dent to make it happen. It's probably my favorite Batman story of all time. I finally got a physical copy of it the other day, so I would be very happy if this is the direction they're going. Okay, but the other 2 questions. Second, how are they going to make that work if Alberto Falcone, the other holiday killer in the comic, died in the Penguin episode 1? That does throw a wrench in my plan, but I could easily see Reeves subbing people in and out of the movie. The Falcones and the Maronis have kind of been dealt with anyways at this point, so if you're gonna do the Long Halloween, you gotta take some creative liberties. And I also think that his exclusion is a good thing because it forces Reeves to do something new, which is always a great thing with adaptations. And that way, comic book fans can't go around spoiling the movie ahead of time because we don't know who the other killer could be. Then finally, question number 3, wasn't the Batman heavily inspired by the Long Halloween? The answer to that is kind of tricky, because yes, it was definitely inspired by it, but narratively, not really. Tonally, the Batman is in the exact same vein as the Long Halloween. If you break it down to its bare fundamentals, it's kind of the same thing. A crime story centering around corrupt people in power in Gotham City, as Batman does whatever he can to find out who this killer is before it's too late. But also, you can make the argument that's half of all Batman stories, and it's when we get into the nitty-gritty that you can really see the differences, because the Batman does not even touch on the biggest part of the Long Halloween story. That being that it basically acts as a Two-Face origin. So if this sequel is to be a true Part 2, I could realistically see Reeves continuing on with that narrative and fully adapting the Long Halloween. So now is probably a good time to mention that, on top of the rumored Gilda Dent casting, Harvey is apparently going to be in this movie, and his father as well. So if that doesn't tell you this is going to be a big movie for the Dents, I don't know what will. Personally, I am very glad that they're going to seemingly adapt Two-Face. It feels like nobody has wanted to touch him since The Dark Knight, despite us getting stuck with like 3 different Jokers since then, but whatever, man. To give those claims some validity, The Hollywood Reporter confirmed that, thankfully, Brad Pitt passed on the role. That being said, you can't say he wouldn't play an abusive, alcoholic father well. Allegedly. Let's say that this sequel is a genuine part 2 and continues to build off of what came before, all while adapting The Long Halloween. Thematically, I can absolutely see the vision here. If Harvey Dent is going to be a big supporting character in this film, that is an easy way for Bruce to actually develop his Bruce Wayne persona as he rekindles his relationship with his childhood friend. After Gil Coulson got blown to smithereens, Gotham City is in dire need of a new district attorney, and that's where Harvey steps in, re-entering Bruce's life as he returns home from law school or something to take this position as the district attorney, because who in their right mind would want to become the district attorney of Gotham City, and basically forcing Bruce to be a real person again, as he teaches him how to be a socialite and actually make real everlasting change in the city. I also think that introducing Harvey at this point in the story makes perfect sense. A huge part of The Batman was dealing with the sins of the father. It was a whole big thing from the Riddler's plot, Bruce unnecessarily spray painted on the floor. You can't miss it. I think this sequel has a very interesting opportunity to mirror Bruce and Harvey's past together. Bruce and Harvey are both motivated by their parents in very different ways. Harvey's father, who is seemingly going to make an appearance in this movie, was a politician in Gotham City. Harvey was abused by his gambling addict and alcoholic father and became a district attorney to try and put away people like that. As comic book movie fans, it is our obligation to cheer whenever we see abuse and trauma in live action, so this is a win. Meanwhile, Bruce used his parents' death as an inspiration to become Why am I explaining this? You know Batman's origin. I would love to see Matt Reeves play around with those parallels and show us how Bruce and Harvey both handle the depressing nature of Gotham City differently. While Bruce is now starting to see the bright side of the city and the positive effect he's having, maybe it's starting to have the opposite effect on Harvey as he's losing more and more cases. He's slowly spiraling out of control as the law isn't working, and we all know how that turns out for him. Just the thought of Reeves and Tomlin writing Two-Face has me losing my mind. I already know he's gonna be cooking with that. But especially as you tie in Scarlett Johansson's Gilda into that, as Harvey is neglecting her and not being a good partner. I mean, Harvey's job even gets them both blown up at one point, so their relationship is on the rocks. It doesn't help that in The Long Halloween, Gilda wants to have children with Harvey, but Harvey is just way too committed to his work, so it feels like they're not getting enough time together. That also presents another interesting opportunity for Bruce and Harvey's journeys to mirror that of each other. While Bruce is trying to be more vulnerable and present the Bruce Wayne personality, Harvey is becoming more reclusive and resenting that part of himself. It's a commentary that's all about the violent addiction that is vigilantism, and would be great to contrast with how far Bruce has come from the first film. Reeves can tell a really interesting story as there's this push and pull between Gilda and Harvey, where they reveal that she's the true holiday killer as she murdered these crime families out of love and desperation for her husband to come home. Only that same act of love is the final nail in the coffin for Harvey, as it sends him spiraling, knowing that the one person he can trust in his life was actually a killer. If Reeves plays his cards right, and knowing him he will, The Batman Part 2 can serve as the Two-Face origin story and set him up to be the villain of Part 3, which ideally would adapt Dark Victory, the sequel series to The Long Halloween. Now, I know this video is supposed to be about The Batman Part 2, but if you let me keep spiraling for a few seconds, I think this Scarlett Johansson casting might go as far as to even set up Batman Part 3. That is, if we're lucky to get that in our lifetimes at this point. The main reason I believe in this so strongly is that the puzzle pieces fit together to make the Batman Part 3 work with what Reeves has already set up for himself. You see, the villain of the Dark Victory comic is Sofia Gigante, the character who just had their origin story told in The Penguin and is now set up for a return down the line as the Hangman. The entirety of Dark Victory focuses on a gang war between Two-Face and Sofia Gigante, and if that isn't the most natural endpoint for everything that's been set up so far, I don't know what is. This way, we get an entire movie where Harvey is a supporting character, so when he finally turns to the dark side, it hits so much harder. Dark Victory is the most natural conclusion for this saga of Batman storytelling I can think of, and even acts as a launching point for the future if we're lucky enough to see more of these movies. Because that story is also a retelling of Dick Grayson's Robin origin. Yeah, that's right, this whole video is just a secret pitch for me to get Robin in the Batman epic crime saga. Bruce blames himself for Harvey's tragic falloff and becomes even more of a loner, which I didn't think was possible, as he refuses to work with Gordon and doesn't even work with Catwoman. While it's been confirmed that Selina won't return in Part 2, which makes sense considering the ending was literally her leaving Gotham, having her return in the third film would be so thematically rich. Not only does she enter at Bruce's second lowest point in life, because we all know what the lowest was, but it would flip their relationship on its head because now Bruce doesn't want anything to do with her and in turn could push her away to finally pay off the tease with Sofia from The Penguin. Yeah, now you're starting to see how things all work together. The only thing that can get Bruce out of this downward spiral is Robin, as he finds a new purpose in mentoring and fostering him. And this is only possible if Scarlett Johansson plays Gilda Dent. Her reveal of being the holiday killer would be the next domino to fall in line to help tie this whole saga together in a way that would be so emotionally satisfying for Bruce's character arc. It might not have been the role I think any of us expected her to play in this film, but God, would it be so significant for pushing this saga forward. It feels like the path through Long Halloween to Dark Victory was right there the entire time, and this casting rumor acts as a light in the darkness surrounding this film that finally lets me see Matt Reeves' vision for the sequel. Or, you know, it gets disproven the next day after I stay up until 3 a.m. editing this video, because that's what always happens. I just had to get that idea out of my head regardless, because I could not stop thinking about the possibilities of a sequel revolving around the Dents and what it could mean for the future of the Batman franchise. No matter what it is, I cannot wait to see what Reeves is cooking up for the sequel, but I do really hope it is something like that. Alright, that's the end of the video. I didn't record an outro because I got distracted watching John Cena's last match, and he just gave up and retired, so I really don't have the energy to think of one now, so why don't you just let me know who you think Scarlett Johansson is playing in The Batman Part 2. I would genuinely love to hear what everyone has to say, and continue the conversation down below. And while you're at it, make sure to give this video a like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. If you don't do it, I'm throwing acid at half your face. And then the other half of your face too, just for good measure. You can become one face. I don't know, man.